Hello dear students, today I'm going to talk about assessment criterion. Assessment is a process of documenting and in measurable terms knowledge, skills, attitudes and beliefs. The term assessment is generally used to refer to all activities of the learners. It can focus on the individual learner and also on the learning community. Assessment in education is an action to determine the importance, size, or value of gained knowledge and speech skills and soft skills. The final purpose of assessment practice in education depends on the theoretical framework of the practitioners and researchers, their assumptions and beliefs about the nature of human mind, their origin of knowledge and the process of learning. Assessments brings benefit to both the teachers and learners. By controlling the process of teaching learners knowledge, skills, and soft skills, a teacher is able to work out new, more effective methods of teaching a foreign language. Assessment helps the teacher to prove his or her ideas, methods on organizing teaching to foreign languages. It's beneficial for learner too. Feeling their success in learning a foreign language motivates the learners and inspires them for new activities. It should be stressed that learners have different motivation. Some of them, we mean learners, are eager to get good grades in all disciplines, including foreign language, and the others learn foreign language with the hope to find a good job in the future. So let's define the term assessment. Assessment is a process in which you make a judgment about a person or situation. It's calculation of the cost or value of something. It's measurement of personal abilities or process, product quality and success. Different types of assessments help you understand student progress in various ways and adapt your teaching strategies accordingly. In your classroom, assessment generally have one of three purposes: assessment learning, assessment for learning, assessment as learning. There are 6 types of assessments: diagnostic assessment, formative assessment, summative, ipsative, non-reference assessment, criterion reference assessment. Assessment for learning. Assessments are a way to find out what students have learned and if they are aligning to curriculum or grade level standard. Assessment of learning are usually grade-based and can include exams, portfolios, final projects, standardized tests. They have a concrete grade attached to them that communicates student achievement to teachers, parents, students, school-level administrators, and district leaders. Common types of assessment of learning include summative assessment, norm reference assessment, criterion reference assessment. Assessments for learning provide you with a clear snapshot of student learning and understanding as you teach, allowing you to adjust everything from your classroom management strategies to your lesson plans as you go. Assessments for learning should always be ongoing and actionable. When you are creating assessments, keep these key questions in mind. What do students still need to know? What did students take away from the lesson? Did students find this lesson too easy, too difficult? Did my teaching strategies reach students effectively? What are students most commonly misunderstanding? What did I want students to learn from this lesson? Did I succeed? There are a lot of ways you can deliver assessment for learning, even in a busy classroom. We'll cover some of them soon. For now, just remember these assessments are not only for students. They are to provide you with actionable feedback to improve your instruction. Common types of assessment for learning include formative assessment and diagnostic assessments. Now let's talk about assessment as learning. Assessment as learning actively involves students in the learning process. It teaches critical thinking skills, problem solving, and encourages students to set achievable goals for themselves and objectively measure their progress. They can help encourage students in the learning process too. One study found students develop an interest in doing tasks and they understand, see as relevant to their own concerns and can manage. Recent study of students' emotional responses to language suggests that both their positive and their negative responses diminish as tasks become familiar and increase when tasks are novel. Let's talk about types of assessment. The first type is pre-assessment or diagnostic assessment. Before creating the instruction, it's necessary to know for what kind of students you are creating the instruction. Your goal is to get to know your students' strengths, weaknesses, and the skills and knowledges they possess before taking the instruction. Before the data you've collected, you can create your instruction. The next type of assessment is formative. Formative assessment is used in the first attempt of developing instruction. The goal is to monitor student learning to provide feedback. It helps identifying the first gaps in your instruction. Based on the feedback, you'll know what to focus on for further expansion of your instruction. Summative assessment is aimed at assessing the extent to which the most important outcomes at the end of the instruction have been reached. But it measures more the effectiveness of learning, reactions on the instruction, and benefits on a long-term basis. The long-term benefits can be determined by following students who attend your course or test. You are able to see whether and how the user learned knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Confirmative assessment. When your instruction has been implemented in your classroom, it's still necessary to take assessment. Your goal with confirmative assessments is to find out if the instruction is still a success after a year, for example, and if the way you are teaching is still on point. You could say that a confirmative assessment is an extensive form of summative assessment. Non-reference assessment. This compares a student performance against an average norm. This could be the average national norm for the subject history, for example. Other example is when the teacher compares the average grade of his or her students against the average grade of the entire school. Criteria reference assessment. It measures students' performances against a fixed set of predetermined criteria or learning standards. It checks what students are expected to know and be able to do at a specific stage of their education. Criteria reference tests are used to evaluate a specific body of knowledge or skill set. It's a test to evaluate the curriculum taught in the course. Ipsative assessment measures the performance of a student against previous performances from that student. Within this method, you are trying to improve yourself by comparing previous results. You are not comparing yourself against other students, which may be not so good for your self-confidence.